Hi, my name is Rob, and I'm with Psychostick, and just recently I attended a Switch event in Chicago where they were showcasing their fancy new console. And I got to play a bunch of stuff. I got to hold the system. I got to hold the little controllers. I got to do all sorts of fun things. So it was cool. First and foremost, when we walked into the event, it was kind of like a big video game party. It felt like, but it was very, very obvious that they were promoting the Switch because every time you would take a photo, they were like, "Hey, hashtag Nintendo Switch," all that stuff, which is fine. They have a lot of promo behind this thing, and they want to sell as many as possible. Pretty much 5 minutes after we walked in, they said, "Hey, everybody, raise your hand if you want to play this game on stage and embarrass yourself." And I embarrass myself for a living, so I was like, "Oh, piece of cake." So they actually called me up and this other guy, and we played the quick draw game. And basically, the Joy-Con, I don't have any here. I don't know why I'm looking for one, but it's maybe half of this size, right? So I'm like holding it. And basically, the object of the game is you draw the gun, and then you pull the trigger on, I think it was the L1 button. You got to like put your thumb on the thing. It was weird. I lost both times. There was 2 rounds of it. And apparently, I don't have what it takes to live in the Wild West, which is fine because I'm way too pampered. After that, the guy was like, "Hey, man, you want to redeem yourself?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm not embarrassed, though." So they brought this other guy up on stage, and they had the milking game, which I forget what it's called. Start at the top, grab the buttons, pull down, let go, start at the top, grab the buttons, pull down. Just like you're milking a cow or various other things. And so that was pretty funny. I thought I did great because I was like, all right, because you have to face your opponent. You can't look at the screen, which is weird. Play a video game, but don't look at the screen. So I looked to my left, and I was like trying to, with my peripheral, just kind of do this. And I was like, all right, I got this. And when I got into a rhythm, I thought I was doing up, but apparently I wasn't going fast enough because the other guy beat me by like 3 gallons. I lost again. And he gave me this fancy Nintendo Switch hat, which you see here. After that, we walked around a bit just to see all the games that they had. The ARMS game is that boxing game where you do this and you do this. Basically, you block by going like this. You can move left and right by tilting the Joy-Cons, and then when you're ready to punch, you do this, and you press buttons to like use your power-ups or whatever. The game was pretty fun. It was a little. It's one of those games that if you don't get it just right, it is frustrating. There are several times when I was like, I was doing the motions. And you can twist the Joy-Con to twist your punch because the arm is like extending like a spring. You can grab your opponent by punching both at the same time, which was the coolest part of that, I thought. You grab them and slam them on the ground and do a lot of damage. Sonic Mania, which is basically, I think, the newest sequel to Sonic, but it's not really a sequel. They had the first Green Hill Zone, and then they had a new level, and the 2 playable levels, and I played them both. It was a lot of fun. Totally old school Sonic, but they really updated the pixel art, animation, and all that. Felt better than regular Sonic, which is pretty surprising because that game controlled like a dream. But this new Sonic game is going to be fantastic. I'm actually probably going to pick that one up, and I'm not really that big of a Sonic fan. Has Been Heroes, and it looks like an indie game, but it's basically a strategy / tower defense, Plants vs. Zombies style game. / RPG. It's so weird. It's hard to describe. Basically, your character is on the left side of the screen, and they're progressing through a level, and the enemies are coming in on the right side, very similar to Plants vs. Zombies. But there's a lot more strategy to it because you have to swap. You have to swap lanes with your characters, but you can only swap at a certain time. And you're firing stuff at the enemies, and you're attacking them, and you have spells and it's a roguelike, which means it's completely randomly generated. And I really enjoyed that game. It was a hard game. And the best part was I had this guy there explaining it to me as I was like, well, what do I do? He's telling me, he's like, nobody really gets through the level. I got through the level. Well, that makes up for my mistakes on the stage in front of everybody, which is whatever. I do that all the time. But that was fun. I'm definitely probably going to pick up Has Been Heroes when it comes out. That'll be a fun game to play in the mobile mode when you're traveling. And then I played Disgaea 5. Now this one is like it looks like a tactics game, like a Final Fantasy Tactics style game, but apparently it's supposed to be funny or whatever. I'm sure it is. I just didn't get to play it. The guy presenting it, he didn't seem very patient. He probably had enough dealing with these dumb people like, what do I do? What game is this? This game sucks. The game was fine. I didn't enjoy it that much because he's like, okay, go here, do this. Isn't that cool? Now go here, do this. Wow! I played a level of the new Mario Kart. They had these, I guess, stages set up that looked like a train. They have part of a train cut out. It was weird. And they had seats in there, and they had part of a restaurant cut out, and they had part of an airplane cut out, and they had the living room kind of set up so you could be like, you could enjoy Nintendo Switch in all of these places. I had a blast playing that one too. Then we played Splatoon 2, which I had not played Splatoon at all, and I heard really good things about it. It won a bunch of awards, and I got to play the second one. I gotta admit, I'm probably gonna pick that up too. It was a lot of fun. I played 2 rounds. For those who don't know, Splatoon is like a third-person competitive game where your object is your team has to paint the level your team's color better than the other team, but your team is weak to other paints that aren't theirs. So if they get hit by your paint, they explode or whatever. Splatoon 2 was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed that. Street Fighter 2 we played for a minute. They had the Street Fighter HD, Street Fighter 2 HD, and then like regular. I guess you could switch between the two. They had that available, and I think it's a specialized version for the game because I'd never seen Evil Ken before. Evil Ken, I played as him, and I was like, whoa, that's cool. I mean, the controls were super tight. That's one thing I'm noticing about a lot of these games. Like the controls feel extremely polished and tight. Like holy crap, this is responding the way I want it to. So I've played one of the Nintendo guys in Street Fighter, and I beat him. I don't play Street Fighter very often. I was like, oh yeah, I remember how to do the spin kick and the shoryuken and all that stuff, and it just came right back to me, so it was great. Puyo Puyo Tetris. I got to play that too. I'm a big Tetris nerd, and it was fun. I mean, Puyo Puyo was weird. It's a lot like Tetris and Dr. Mario. You have to switch between the two, and it was timed. So you play Puyo Puyo for like 30 seconds or something, and then it switches to Tetris. It's kind of madness. It's just very, very chaotic, but it's a lot of fun. I'm probably gonna pick that up. Probably. Then we got to finally play Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. Probably the biggest reason I was there. Wake up as Link, and you walk around, and you find weapons, you smash stuff, you explore a little bit. Got to play for maybe 10, 15 minutes. I don't think it was more than 10. And then they kicked us out. My initial impressions are, I think it looks better on the handheld than it does on the TV. It's definitely not 1080p. It's not 4K. It's 720 like they said it would be. And it was good. It was good. Didn't get a chance to really enjoy it as much as I would have liked to. But that makes sense because everybody in line like, I'm playing Zelda! And they're not going to let you play an RPG that's hours long, a massive world at a convention for super long. The controls are a little different, though. Link doesn't seem to move quite as quickly as he does, say, in Twilight Princess. You have a run button. Has that health stamina thing like it did in Skyward Sword. It'll be fun, I think. I didn't really get a long enough time to really form much of an impression on the game. I found an axe and I smashed some goblins or moblins. Sorry. Opened up some treasures. Did a little exploring. The actual hardware itself is pretty cool. I was surprised at how small the system was. It's smaller than a Wii U controller. The screen is about the same size, it feels like. I think maybe the screen is a little, I don't know, maybe slightly larger, but not really noticeable. The Joy-Cons are smaller than I thought, too. I had never compared hands with the average person, but I think my hands are about average sized. The buttons were more 3DS feel than anything else. 3DS, for me, my thumbs get really tired after a while. I hope that there's some third-party Joy-Cons that Nintendo allows, like, say, Logitech or somebody lets them make bigger ones for guys with medium to larger hands, because those tiny buttons might get a little old. That's the only thing, though. I mean, the Joy-Cons themselves are, like, super, super light. The high-def vibration that they were talking about is pretty cool. Super responsive, like I mentioned earlier. But when you click it on to the actual screen, it is instantaneous. It switches over. Switch, and then you pull it out, but the screen itself has a lot of heft to it. It's feels like the same weight as an iPad, maybe a little bit more, and then you feel like you're holding an expensive piece of hardware. Like, okay, this is nice, and the screen looks fantastic. I had a great time. I'm definitely gonna be picking one of these up if I can find one. I've been trying to pre-order a Switch for the past week, just because I'd like to, and all the pre-orders are gone. And so I think I was playing Sonic, and I looked at the guy, and I go, "Hey man, I want to buy one of these. Why can't I pre-order it?" He just looked at me like, "I don't know. Let me go find somebody." And then he found somebody, brought her over. She's like, "Now, yeah, the pre-orders are gone, but we are shipping a lot to the retail stores, so you probably could get one on day one without pre-ordering. But all the pre-orders are actually gone," which confused me. And I'm not John Q's CEO businessman, but I don't understand why you wouldn't want to take people's money and reserve games. Maybe I don't know much about it. Nintendo's released hardware since I was in diapers, so they know what they're doing, I think. So, Nintendo Switch. Thank you very much. I'm Rarb, and I'm probably going to be streaming Switch stuff whenever I get one. Bye!